Hello there. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I will go about creating a React app, a React to-do app from scratch. And um, in the process, I'm going to explain the power of React. It's going to be exciting. So let's get it started. First is you want to create your project, your startup project, right? Um, and there are many ways you can do that. But one option which you definitely should opt for um, is using Create To Do app. It's a powerful tool that helps us to bootstrap and get started creating a React app. So how do you do that? It's basically you have create React app to do app, and that's gonna go ahead and bootstrap uh, um, a template, right, for you to get started with. And when that is done, I already did that because I don't want to waste time. It takes a few minutes to get done, but this is what you get when you're done. And if you start the project, um, and by the way, right, you can see the script right here in your package.json. You can start npm start gets the project started, and this is what you get. Okay, um, so the next thing is what changes do I need to make in the code? Before I go ahead and start writing the code, I'd like to show you the architecture of what we're trying to build. And this usually helps in um, how you code, right? It helps you to think through your code. If you have a kind of like design to work with, it's a simple app, but it shows you the power of React. So basically, this app is going to have a text button, right? A text, an input box, and then you have a button, and you can add to-dos. So you have each item you had here, and we're going to implement simple functionalities such as delete and done. So when you click on delete, right, you remove this item off the list of your to-dos, and when you click on done, kind of like maybe you strike through this item to signify visually that that to do is done. So let's get right into the code. So um, I have an app, a some code snippet here that React already put in for us. It's showing here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. Okay, and so you can see it's gone. Just to show you, you make any change and it's gonna go ahead and reload that component that changes. So React actually helps you think in components, which helps you to structure your code in a way that you have components that are reusable, right? So in this design, I'm going to have a component called to do, which is going to represent an um, a to do, right? So, and the state is going to manage the state um, for working on that to do. So I'm going to go ahead here and just create a to do component, okay? And similarly to what you have here, right? You have to import to your React and component, right? And you have to have uh, a class that extends component, okay? And you have to implement this function, the render function. This is actually the function that helps React render your HTML code in the browser. Okay, so whatever you put in here. So if I put in a h1 here and I type hello world, so this component can be used now in my app component, and it's going to display what is hello world. So how do I bring this to do into this app component? I have to import it. Okay, I have to import that component. So I'm going to go ahead and say import to do. I can, so instead of having hello here, I'm going to remove this, so that is gone. Oh, so you see this error? Says your render method should have a return statement. So apparently I didn't include this. One more thing we need to add here is when we to export, to make this component reusable usable from outside component, you need to export it. Okay, so export default, right? That's how you export. I won't get into the details of Es6 right now, but you export that to do, and then you can go ahead. So right now there's nothing showing here, but we can go ahead and add this component here and hello world. Let's now go ahead and create all the elements that we need to work with. So we need to add an input, and we need to add an add. So let's quickly do that. I'm going to do that here. So I want to have an input, okay, and let's just put a placeholder, okay. Let's just say placeholder and say enter, okay, and then let's just put a button, okay, just say submit, okay, or enter, however. So we have, I'm going to refresh this, yeah, so we have to do submit. Currently now, if we type anything here, nothing shows. So how do we want to go ahead to capture whatever is put in here, right? Whatever we enter here, we want to keep track of that. How do we ensure that that is being tracked? There's a how we manage state, okay? So I'm gonna have a constructor, and in here I'm gonna call super first, right? Because I'm extending a component, right? So whatever variables, whatever needs to be initialized first is done in a super. And now I want to keep track of what we call state. So I'm going to say this dot state equals to what? I'm going to say to dos, right? So React can help us manage our state so that whatever we enter here, right? I'm going to click on submit, and then we put that item in a to-do list. It's going to go ahead and render this component, okay? So here, right? So when we render the component, we want to display all the list of to-dos. Okay, I'm going to remove the hello world, and now we have that here. We're coming back here, but what we want to make sure we do. Oh, your render should have a return. It's complaining here because I removed that, so I'm just going to say return. I'm just going to return an empty string for now. Okay, so we want to go ahead and just see how this works. Okay, this to-dos, list of to-dos. So here I'm going to say that so if I enter something here, then it's going to go ahead and display here. But what if there is nothing in the list, right? What should we can show something here? So I'm going to go ahead and say so when I want to display this to do, I'm just going to go ahead and say that if this dot state, okay, dot to dos dot length, okay, if this equals to 0, then what do I want to do? I'm just going to go ahead and say there's nothing here, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do. But if the list is, there's something in the list, I want to go ahead and call a function. Let's say call render to dos. Okay, that's what we want to do. I'll call this dot render to do, and then all right, this is going to be here. All right, so I want to go ahead, so I'm going to get rid of this, right? And I'm going to put these in render to do function, render to do's. Okay, I'm just gonna put this here. For now, let's just return this one. It's basically nothing right now, but let's see what's gonna happen if we refresh this. Okay, so currently it says there's nothing to do because my list is empty. Okay, if I just put something here, hello world, hello, right, it should go ahead and render my to do, right, which currently there's nothing in there. So I put something here, I put something. Okay, that's gonna get rendered here, something. Okay, but that's not what I want to have there. So one of the powers of React is, you see, you can write both HTML and JavaScript all together, right? And that is possible because of JSX, JavaScript extensions that comes with React. Um, let's go ahead and grab whatever we enter here. And how do we do that? So there's, on this input, there's what we call onChange event. Okay, now onChange, what do I want to do when anything changes here? I want to go ahead and put it in a variable. Whatever changes, I want to put it in a variable. Let's put it in a variable called current to do. Okay, current. Let's just say current to do. Now I just put this as a empty string for now. And what is going to happen with this? So on change, I want to go ahead and set this value here. Okay, I want to go ahead and set this value here. And then so I'm going to have this dot say undo, let's just call undo change function, undo change, right? And let's write that function here. So undo change, right? Now when anything changes, I want to go ahead and set this a set state. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have that this value, this property that has been tracked, and I'm going to go ahead and say that's going to be what, e dot target dot to do. Okay, sorry, e dot target dot value. Okay, that's how we get that value. So any change is going to be here. So but when I click on enter, right, when I click on enter, I want to go ahead and capture whatever that I have in my current to do and then put it in this list. Okay, I want to put it in here. That's what I want to do. So let's do that. Okay, so I'm gonna have, oh, I did a save and this got formatted. I don't know what changed, but I don't need this one here. So let's have on the button, let's an on-click event. Okay, and on this on-click event, what I want to go ahead and do is I want to go ahead and undo click, right? I want to go ahead and undo that event. Okay, and how let's have that written here, undo click event. So so now when I click on, so let's do something. Let's do console.log here. When I click on this button, I want to go ahead and this is a state dot current to do. Let's go ahead and console.log that value. Okay, let's see if I have blah blah blah. Okay, says set state is undefined. Let's see what that is. Okay, so this is one thing that you have to watch out for, and that's one of the reasons why we use Es6 error functions. This currently, this that I'm using is referencing the function here, and I actually wanted to reference the object. Okay, but it's not. So I need to change this into a ES6 an arrow function, and that will solve that issue, that problem. So where am I having this? Okay, I'm having this here. I need to do that here. Okay, so let's try that again and get an error. Okay, cannot read property state of undefined. So this dot state dot current to do. So state is undefined. Why is that? Let's refresh this again. All right. So one thing I don't know. Sometimes I have to refresh to make sure that the latest code changes have been taken. Okay, been processed. Anyway, so you can see that when I put in something here and I press enter, something and I press enter, right? I get that here. But instead of logging into the console, I want to put it in this list of to-dos. Okay, so let's do that. Let's put it in this list of to-dos. And how do we do that? Okay, we do that by just this is a list, an array, right? I can just call it push. The way you do that, instead of just pushing directly, because I don't want to mutate this directly, I don't want to change. There are reasons for that. There's way I'm gonna first want to create a copy of this and then push whatever to do into that copy, and then go ahead and set the state with this new with the to dos. Okay, so how to do that is I'm gonna go ahead and say constant to dos list equals to this dot state dot to dos dot slice. Okay, that's going to give me the exact copy of this. And now I'm going to go ahead and say push. I'm going to go ahead and push this dot state dot current to do. Okay, I'm going to push that, and now I'm going to set the state. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say this is a set state. I want to set the state of this to-dos here to be what? To-dos list. And also I want to go ahead and set this current to-do. Currently the current to-do is on the value that it got on the input box. But now I want to set it back to empty. Okay. And just to test what's going on, let's go ahead and console our to-dos here. So I'm going to go ahead and console this dot state dot to-dos. Okay, and currently it says there's nothing to do, but if I enter something, there's something here. I click on enter. Now there's something, but there's no console.log here. Let's refresh that again. So let's do it. So something. All right. Enter, and now there's something. Okay. Now if I put another thing, something to, I enter. Right. Now the list is getting populated. Right. So I'm entering my to-dos. One thing you notice is that I still have this value here, okay, that I entered, right? It's supposed to clear away. How do we resolve that? So let's just go ahead and set a value. So on this input here, I have an unchanged, but then I also want to set the value to what? Let's set the value to this dot. Let's bind it to this dot state dot current to do. Dot current to do. Okay. So now and when I click on submit, right, I go ahead and update. So I go ahead and okay, so I go ahead and where's the undo click? Just something. I go ahead and push the to do into the list of to dos, and then I go ahead and set my current into an empty string. And because we are binding whatever value here on the input, that gets changed here. Okay. Also, what you observe is that for every change you make, React goes ahead and render your component. So there's something which I'm sorry about. When I click on save, I have a tool that actually goes and format my code. So it feels like this is changing, but it's not. Okay. Anyway, so I want to remove this, and you can see now we have a working kind of like a working app. We are getting our to do. So what is next for us is to display them. Now we want to display them into something like this. So how do we represent this visually? Let's go back to do and represent what a to do should look like. So right here, let's go ahead and return what we're just gonna and say we're gonna have. Let's put this in a div, okay, and I'm gonna call it a class of to do class name. Um, it, so it's called class name because this is React actually works with what we call a virtual DOM. So instead of the class that you have in a DOM, use class name. And then by the time it renders your component into actual DOM, that gets converted into class. Okay. So class name, I'm gonna call something, right? Let's call it task. Okay. And let's put the description of our to do into a p tag, and then we're gonna have a button. Okay. We're gonna have a button to say let's call it delete and let's call it done. So one is delete and the other one is done. The other one is done. Okay. Here, what do we want to render here? Okay, whatever we want to render here is whatever the task name or the to-do name is. And how do we get that value? How do we get that? Okay, we get that from the app component, because our app contains our to-dos. So now each to-do should know what the description is, right? Should be able to manage, to be able to know that. So, and how do we pass data from the parent to the child component? We pass that using props. Okay, props. So let's go ahead and pass this description, this name or this task as a prop into this component. And how do we do that? First, you can see that we have a function where we render our to do, but in reality we're going to have way more to do. So we want to iterate through this list of to dos, and for each list, for each item, go ahead and render the component, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So let's say for integer, no, sorry, for let, actually I can just use string. So I'm just gonna say to dos dot no, not to dos, this dot state dot to dos dot for each. Okay, and I'm gonna get the item, right, and I actually get the index too in the array. So for each item index, what do I want to do? I want to go ahead and render my to do component, right? So I want to go ahead and say to do and render that component. Okay, for each item, render a to-do component. So how do we pass this item description into that to-do? We pass through props. So I'm gonna go just say task, right? Task is gonna, this is how you do it. Task is gonna be what? Item. Okay. And so we have task item, and now in my to-do, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this dot state, this dot props dot task. Okay, and now that should display here. So let's try that out. Let's see how that works. Reality. I'm gonna refresh this, and then I'm gonna say something and enter. All right. Somehow that is not getting rendered. Let's see why. I refresh again. Okay, so seems like something is wrong. So let's go back into it. So I think we supposed to return this. Yeah. That's interesting. Supposed to return that, but instead of using a for each, I should be using a map instead. Okay, because then for a map, for each item, I want to map that item into a to-do, and I'm going to return that. Whatever gets returned is what gets rendered here. Okay, so let's do it again. So submit. Okay, awesome. So we see we're getting our to-do added here. There's one error though. For each component, when you iterate, because it's easy for React to help you manage each of these if there's a unique key. Okay, so we're gonna add a key attribute here. I'll just put the index. Okay, and that will resolve that. If I refresh this, I say something else, something else. That's gone. All right. So now we have our to-dos coming up here. Let's go ahead and style a little bit just to make this look, better a little bit. So let's go to our CSS. I know we're not really concerned about CSS, but let's just go ahead and do something real quick on this. I'm gonna go ahead and set padding on this. I'm gonna set it to 20 pixels. Maybe set the weight to, maybe 30%. I need to set the so I have an app class name here. Let's just go ahead and, I don't need all of this, so let me remove this. I'm gonna remove that. For my app, let's go ahead and just set a width of, say, 500 pixels. Yeah, say 500 pixels. And then let's set a margin to center that. We're gonna set that to 0 auto. One more thing, let's go ahead and have a general. So I'm gonna set padding to 0, margin to 0, and all our elements. For to do, let's go ahead and do something. Let's we have a class name here. As task. Let's go ahead and just make this display as flex. Okay. It's easier to just use flexbox. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say task. Okay, the task. So display flex, and I'll kind of like put everything. All right. Let's do something. Let's change this back to 510 pixels. And let's put some margin around that. Oh, I can just, let's do a button real quick. A button, I'm gonna say padding on that. Also, I'm gonna say maybe 5, maybe 10 pixels, and I'm gonna have a margin of say 5 pixels around. All right, so and yeah, let's just keep it simple. So now if I put something here, I have something and I have delete done. If I put something else, okay, all right, something else. I mean, we could go ahead and just make this look a little bit better, but let's not spend time on CSS. I'm trying to just work on React here. So the next thing we want to do real quick is how do we implement the delete and the done. Okay, so first let's work with delete. Okay, so when I click on this button delete, I want to go ahead and delete this item. Okay, so back in our to do, I'm just going to go ahead and say unclick. It's an unclick event, and I want to go ahead and do what? I want to go ahead and say I want to pass in I'm going to say undo delete. Okay, I don't have that function yet, but I'm passing in the function, the event handler, into this component as a prop. Okay, um, and that simplifies things because now your app manages what this child component. So this is just an this is more like an API. All it to do needs to know is I need to be able to delete. I need to be able to um, be done, right? And it doesn't care about the implementation. It doesn't care. So the app, the JS cares of all that. So let's go ahead and have undo delete method here. Undo delete, okay. And this undo delete now is going to be passed as a prop to our to do. Okay, so here I'm going to say undo delete on, let's say, on click. What am I? So I'm just going to say undo click, which that's not enough. I'm just going to say undo delete. Now you want to be careful how you structure your name, but right now I don't worry much. Undo delete, okay, and in here, how do we handle our delete? Okay, we know that we actually have our item, or I don't need the item, I need the index. Okay, so let's go ahead and just say we're going to call this function here. We're going to say when that undo delete function is called, go ahead and do this. Okay, go ahead and pass in and call the undo delete with the index. So when I know the index of the to do in the array, I can go ahead and delete it, right? So let's implement that here. Okay. So how do we implement that functionality? We don't want to go ahead and just delete directly from the to-dos, okay, object here. What we want to do is we want to create a copy first, remove that that one when you want to delete the index, remove it, and then update your state. Okay, so let's exactly do it that way. So I'm going to say let to-dos equals to this dot state dot to-dos dot slice. That's how we get a copy of the to-do exact copy. And then now let's go ahead and delete. And how do I do that? I'm going to say to-dos dot slice, right? I want to delete the index. From that index, I just want to delete one item, and I'm going to go ahead and set the state again. So this is a set state. It's a set state. Now I'm going to just set the to-dos. Now it's going to be what? Now, to not confuse on the name, I'll change this to to-do list. Okay, to-do list. So now I'm going to go ahead and set the state here. So to do's is now going to be what? To do's list. Okay, let's see that in action. Undo delete. Okay, so now let's go ahead and enter hello and let's delete. Okay, that doesn't work. Why? I refreshed, put something here, delete, doesn't work. Let's go back and see why that is. So I passed in a props called undo delete. Okay, in app.js, what's my to do? It's my to do. Okay, so undo delete, and I call this dot undo delete, and I pass in that index. Okay, so I'm supposed to come and call this function. Let's see, did we even get here? Let's come, I'm here. Let's see if we got there. Okay, so let's put something back here and submit, delete. I'm here. Okay, we're there, which is good, right? Good, but then it's not getting deleted. Why? Let's see, do we have our index being passed in here? Index, I'm here at 0. Okay, awesome. So now why is it not oh yeah, I see the reason. This is not supposed to be slice, it's supposed to be splice. Okay, splice. How you delete, it's a different function. So let's try again. So say to do submit delete. Awesome. So we have that functionality done. So we say let's add something something else. Okay, now we can click on delete here and we can delete this. There's nothing to do. Awesome. So the next functionality we want to do is how do we implement done? Okay, so if I enter something here, if I click on done, nothing happens. So how do I undo that? So for my to do, I want to go ahead and add an event listener here and click event, and I want to say that this should undo done. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and implement that function here. So just going to say undo done. Okay, and what is going to be done, right? Now how do we, from our object, right, from our object, how do we know, how do we determine that something is done? If we click on done, how do we tell in our to-dos, how do we know it's done? So this is where you start to think, okay, and expand your application, right? I intentionally wanted us to implement our to-do to know how well you can expand your to-do object, okay, implementation. So for a to-do, in reality, there are so many properties that a to-do could have. And a to-do could have, you could have a deadline, okay, a due date and everything, right? You could have status, okay. So currently my to-dos doesn't have any of that, okay. So let's go ahead and change how, instead of having a string here, let's make our current to-do an object, okay. And in my object, I'm going to have what we call task, okay. And that is the name of the task. But then there could be also other things, right? Like status, okay. Status could be something like, is it completed? Is it does it have a due date? I could have as many properties here, but I'm gonna just keep status. So when we click on done, we want to go ahead and update the status to be completed. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and change how we create a to-do, right? So right here, right here we have current to-do, but now current to-do has what? Our current to-do has what? It has task. Okay, task is what? Okay, so first, instead of doing push, where's my current to do? So first, why are we doing undo change? Okay, yeah. So first, from handle change, on the text box. So instead of having it to do this way, I'm gonna go ahead and have it in a way we have it in our object here. So I'm gonna set task. It's gonna be what? Either target. Now my status, I could set status, I could leave it, but let's just say status now. When you create, just set status to nothing, right? Okay, let's leave it that way. What else? What am I missing? I think I'm missing this. Okay, so and right here in my current to do, so in my undo click, okay, once I click on submit, so I could actually name it undo submit, but anyway, once I click on that, what I want to go ahead and do is to take whatever current to do is, right, and update and put it here in our to dos. Okay, so we push that. We do that by pushing here. We push whatever is in current to do, and then now we want to set back our state. We want to set our task back to empty, and we want to keep. I mean, it didn't change, but let's just do it for doing sake. Let's put our status there, and then also where else do we have it? So here, when we're setting the value of our current to do to the text box, initially it was the string. Right now it's an object, so it's going to be the task is the string. And then one more thing, on our props, when we set our props here, we are setting to do. So we set task to be the item, right? Now the item is a to-do object, okay? So in my to-dos here, instead of um, displaying the object, I want to display the to-do itself. Sorry, so I'm gonna say task dot what dot task. No, I wouldn't name it task anymore. Let's name it something else. Let's name it in our props. Let's just call it to-do. I'm just gonna say to do on an item, okay? And now so it's gonna be to do dot the task, which is a string. So I'm gonna say dot to do the task dot the task here. All right, so everything is back to where we were. Nothing has changed so far in terms of the visually. So if I enter something, it's still what it was. Something else. Okay, and now we can delete, and done is still not implemented. So now let's go ahead and implement done here. Okay, so for done, I have unclick undo done. Now when I click on that button here, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and set the value of task, the status of that task. I want to set it to what? Completed. Okay, let's just say completed. So in my undo done, which is right here, let's go ahead and get that to do, this to do list that we want to modify. We want to set the property of one of the to do that we clicked on done. Okay, we click done on. So let's go ahead and have a slice of that. Okay, and now we want to get to do list, want to get it out of the index, right? So we're passing in the index here, and where is that coming from? It's gonna come from so remember when we click on undo done here, right, which is how we call it, basically this dot undo done. Okay, we're gonna pass in that index here. Okay, and right here, so we're gonna go ahead and say the to-do list, the index, we want to go ahead and set completed. So the index is going to be the to-do, and the to-do looks like this. It has what task, it has status. So I'm going to go ahead and say the status. Okay, the status equals to completed. Okay, and that's a string completed. All right, and then now we're going to go back and set our state. So how do we set our state? Let's go ahead and do it back here the same way. I think same way here. We get the to-dos property. We set the value to the to-do list, and that value now has that updated status for that to do. And yeah, I think that should be it here. Line 40 to-do list. So there's a complaint. Okay, so I change this to to-do list. Or let's put to-dos normally to-dos. All right, so now let's go ahead and see. For us to see, and let me go ahead and console.log what each time I click on done. Let's console.log what our to-do is. Okay. Or no, let's put it on when we create a to-do. Okay, when we create a to-do, right here, okay, this is becoming confusing. So undo click is what? Let's go back and update this real quick. So sometimes you gotta be careful how you name your methods or your functions, so you don't get confused. All right, so undo click is on the submit button. So I'm just gonna call it undo submit. Okay, undo submit, so I don't get confused. And change this here to submit. So I put that on the submit button. Okay, so when we click on submit, let's go ahead and click on console.log what we have right in our to-do. Let's go ahead and put it here, console.log this.state .to-dos. Okay, so let's see that. I'm gonna say hello. All right, and then initially it was empty. Now there was something, but so anyway, what I wanted to see is the status right now. So the status is hello. It's what an empty string right now. If I click on done, does that change anything? So if we click on done on this one, but if we go ahead and add something else here, we should actually see that it says completed. Okay, now data wise we know that we done on that on this the first one, right? Data wise, but how do we represent it visually? Okay, how do we represent it visually? How we do that is that we go ahead and maybe set a property on this, so that when we click on done, we go ahead and just strike this out. Okay. So let's get to it. So on our to do, I'm just going to go ahead and set a property. Let's set a class name here. Okay, and the class name, I'm gonna call these. So I'm gonna call these this dot props dot to do dot right dot the status, right? Remember I have task now, I have status. Okay, and the status can be empty or it can be completed. I mean, we could actually set it as none, and then anyway. But now for this status, for this property. Let's go ahead and add a CSS. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say dot completed. It's going to be my status, my class name, and now I'm going to just go ahead and say text. Let's say text decoration. Let's just say line through. Okay, line through. Let's go ahead and just set the color to maybe orange also. And now let's see how that is on the UI. Sorry. So first time I'm gonna say buy a phone. All right. Oh, okay. All right. I think that is how it should be, because it's gonna evaluate to be a string, and then it's gonna be the class name. Anyway, so let's see. So hello. Yep, and then we'll say I want to buy a phone. Now, if I click on done here, funny enough, nothing happens. Why? It's interesting. Oh, I see why, right? We didn't set the value. It's supposed to be completed here. Okay, so let's try again. Buy a phone. Go to the market. Now let's click on done. Awesome, right? Awesome. So we're able to, visualize that, once a to-do is done, to visualize that it's done. Okay, we can add more tasks to it and say go to the movies. All right, submit. Maybe I can delete this one if I want to. I can mark this as done if I want to. All right, so this is how you create a to-do app, and we can basically do other things like make it look nice, which is not the main reason why I wanted this app, this video done. But that's maybe something you can play with. The other thing is we can actually improve on these, right? It's a task, we can improve on these. I told you, right, each to do can have as much, state. We can, like right now we are monitoring when it's completed. We can actually monitor, like for example, a due date, right? And maybe when there's a due date, when it's approaching a due date, go ahead and create an alert, right? Or send an email, do something, right? There's a bunch of ways you can improve your to-do. Okay, there are also other things, right? Basically, if you click on submit, right, there is a bunch of empty stuff right here. You may want to add a check on the on the input here to say that if this is empty, don't go ahead and don't do anything with it, with this function call, right? Don't do anything. So there's a bunch of things you can do, but this actually makes you visualize how you can go about creating a to-do app. I'm going to end this video here. If you like my content, please go ahead and press like, and also you want to subscribe and stay in tune for more videos. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.